What's up, everybody? It's your boy Sludge here, back at it again to drop What If Naruto Flipped the Script. What's good, everybody? It's your boy Sludge here, back at it again to drop What If Deku Flipped the Script. Now, many of you guys are probably like, what if Deku flipped the script? What is this man talking about? Is that a Cobra Kai reference? And yeah, yes it is. It is a Cobra Kai reference because many of you guys probably do know this if you've seen Cobra Kai. There's a character by the name of Eli Moshkowitz who ended up flipping the scripts and became a completely different person. When confidence was added to the equation, he became a totally different person. And I've always wondered what would happen if Deku, instead of being the frightened little kid that he always has been, was more of a badass. And well, today's video is going to be telling you guys exactly what would happen. So if you guys do end up wanting a part 2 to this video, make sure you guys smash that like button to let me know that you guys want a part 2. And with that being said, I hope you guys do go on to enjoy the video. So with that all said, hit it.
Hey Ross, sauce it up.
Okay, so we start his story off in the perspective of Deku. Now at this point, Izuku Midoriya, or Deku, would be about 13 years old, and he would basically just be going outside, basically just to grab the mail. Now at this point, Inko would yell upstairs, she's like, Izuku, go grab the trash. Deku would be like, okay mom, as he just walks outside, you know, he's going to his trash bin, and it's at this point that he sees somebody unfamiliar. He'd be like, oh, hey, did you just move here? As a man would look at Deku's direction with blonde hair. This man would be somebody by the name of Johnny Lawrence. And Deku would look at him and he's like, just get to the area? Immediately, Johnny would look away from Deku and be like, yeah, kid, as he would just begin to walk towards the trash can. Deku would be like, well, I've been living here for quite a long time, so I can tell you anything if you need to know. And he'd be like, cool, kid, that's awesome. As he would just be like, oh, well, nice to meet you. As Johnny would just look at him and say, kid, save your breath, man. You're a weird kid. Just go do whatever it is weird kids like you do nowadays. As Deku would be like, huh? And Johnny would be like, yeah, just get out of here, come on. As Deku would look at Johnny, he's just like, okay. As he walks off, and Johnny just throws his trash and walks into his house. Just like, these kids, man, they get weirder every year. They're so soft. As he would walk inside him, at this point, Deku the next day would walk home from school. Now, when he's actually walking home from school, Johnny would have actually been pulling into the apartment complex with his car, you know, little random car, you know, he likes it. It's an old one at that, but he would look at Deku, and Deku would actually be not thrown, but Deku at this point would have Bakugo and his goons behind him. As they're kind of just throwing a bunch of objects at Deku's direction, Deku would be like, stop it, guys, as Johnny's just looking at this thinking, funny kids. He would look at the one with the blonde hair, he's like, I used to be just like that. He'd laugh thinking about Dutch and all his old Cobra Kai friends, as he would then proceed to look away and just park into the neighborhood. It's at this point that he would park his car and Deku would be like, Bakugo, stop it! And Bakugo would get pretty angry at that, to which he would proceed to shoot an explosion at Deku, and Deku would hit his car. Now, immediately when Johnny just sees this, he's like, yo, watch the car, man. Bakugo would look at, you know, Johnny and be like, beat it, old man. Why don't you get out of here before you get hurt? As Johnny would look at Bakugo and be like, just say to me, kid? And Bakugo would just say, you heard me, get out of here before you get hurt. As Johnny would just look at him and be like, nobody talks to me like that. And Deku would be like, hey, mister, you should probably listen to him. I mean, Bakugo's a pretty dangerous kid. As Johnny would look at, you know, Bakugo's direction and say, no. I think I want to hear him say it one more time. Bakugo would get all up in Johnny's face and say, get lost, loser. As he would push Johnny, and Johnny would be like, all right. As he would proceed to jump up into the air and send a kick flying right at Bakugo's direction. Now, Bakugo at this point would immediately be sent flying back, as his other two goons were just like, hey! And at this point, they would rush in Johnny's direction, as Johnny would proceed to beat the ever-living, like, you know the word, out of these kids, and Deku would just be watching, so he's like, whoa! By the way, guys, in case you guys do hear any barking from dogs in the background, I do apologize, but can't really control it. It's just random neighbors' dogs barking. Alright, but that said, we basically have it to which Deku is essentially just looking at this, and he's like, how did you do that? And at this point, Johnny would look at Deku as he's like, just a little bit of karate. Deku would be like, you think you could teach me? As Johnny would look at Deku and think, no. He would immediately look at Deku's direction and say, look, kid, I don't got time to be some sort of karate sensei or anything. My life's too busy at this point. And Deku would be like, okay, as he'd be like, please, if I just knew a little bit of what you knew, then I could maybe, but he would say, no, get your soft ass out of my face. As he would say, why don't you go change something about yourself? Maybe a little bit of confidence would help you out with this world. As Deku would look at him and be like, you don't know what it's like to be quirkless in a world like this. A little bit of karate could go a long way for me. Johnny would listen to those words as he would think about how he's quirkless himself and almost say something, but Deku would walk away as he's like, he wouldn't get it. He would walk off, and at this point, Deku the next day would go home. As the very next day, Deku just seems like a totally different person. His outfit, his confidence, everything would have kind of switched. And at this point, Johnny would see Deku again, as at this point, Deku was walking home with a whole different attitude on himself. Now at this point, Bakugo would not actually be picking on Deku, and Deku would kind of just be walking home with a little bit more pep in his step. Johnny would see this and be like, whoa, 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 kid, what got you moving so differently? Deku would look at him, and without like that nerdy tone of voice that he had before, he'd say, what's up? As Johnny would be like, what's up? Isn't it, hey, mister? And he would say, nah, all that stuff gone, old man. He would look at Johnny as he would just nod his head and be like, see you later. As he would walk inside his house, and before he actually goes in there, Johnny would stop him as he's like, hey, kid, still want to learn some karate? Deku would turn around as he smiles and says, sure. And at this point, this relationship would start. Imagine if instead of Miguel, it was actually Deku, who was the one who, or no, not Miguel, or Deku, but Hawk, who was the one that actually ended up meeting John and Lawrence first. And so in this world, John and Lawrence is obviously going to be quirkless, and the rest of Cobra Kai events are history. None of the real like Miyagi-Do or like Kreese is ever really going to come into the story. And I kind of just want to have Deku learn a little bit of karate. Now, in case you're thinking, oh my god, this Deku's about to be so weak, he's about to have no strength whatsoever, and he's just gonna really not have anything, then you're absolutely wrong. Because this version of Deku is actually going to be quite powerful and going to have a lot of things in his arsenal going for him. But I'm not really gonna get too much into detail with that. Just trust in your boy, alright? Trust. I'll never make a weak character, and I can promise you guys that. Deku would at this point proceed to train for the following year with Johnny in the art of Cobra Kai. Now, 1 year of training did wonders for Miguel, and a lot of that is going to rub off on Deku. However, Cobra Kai is way more advanced and stronger than in the original because in this world there's people with literal abilities and superpowers. So Cobra Kai changed to kind of make up for that, compensate, I guess you could say. So Deku would obviously continue training with Johnny, and at this point, he would proceed to continue training with him a lot, until eventually Deku would essentially continue training with Johnny, and at this point, Johnny and Deku would build a very powerful bond. You know what I mean? If you guys get that reference, please comment down below. But at this point, 7 months would go by, and Deku would actually be in the cafeteria, just chilling, actually talking to some random girl in his class, and Bakugo would walk up to Deku and be like, hey nerd, what are you doing talking to her? As Bakugo looks at her and says, is this guy bothering you? Deku would look at him and say, get lost, Bakugo. And as soon as he hears that, Bakugo would be like, just say to me, you damn nerd. He would grab his shirt by the collar and say, just because you got a little bit of confidence doesn't mean a thing. Deku would headbutt Bakugo right on the nose, causing his vision to get very blurry, as Bakugo would be like, damn, Deku. He would throw an explosion, but Deku would duck under it as he would grab his arm and proceed to flip him onto the table, as he then looks at the girl, smiles, and walks away. At this point, Bakugo would be like, damn, Deku! As he would just yell that out to himself, and Deku would walk off with a lot of confidence as he finally was able to stand up to Bakugo. And at this point, Deku is just very happy. He proceeds to tell Johnny about what he did, and he would proceed to like give Deku a beer, telling him that, you know, he did great and that he's super proud of him. As at this point, we continue to have Deku training, getting stronger and training every single day, as he proceeds to pack on a whole lot of muscle mass, and it's pretty good for Deku. Now, Deku would grow to get more and more popular and start finally getting a little bit of revenge on all the people who did wrong. He would start slowly turning towards the wrong direction, and instead of being that kind-hearted kid who he always was, he would become a little bit of a bully, not gonna lie. A little bit of that Bakugo like personality where he doesn't take anything from anybody would kind of start rubbing off on Deku. But eventually Johnny would pick up on this and tell him, hey, stop that. You can't be going around beating kids up for no reason. I know I did that, but wasn't right. Don't do it. And Deku, hearing this from Sensei, would be like, yes, Sensei. At this point, Johnny hasn't exactly picked up any students, and instead he's actually working a normal job, which actually ends up paying him way more than training some kids in karate. But training Deku kind of fills up this void in his heart, kind of like as if he had a kid. Because in this version, I'm going to say that Johnny was never able to have kids, and yeah, he kind of wishes he could have them. But Deku kind of fills in that role, and Deku has the fatherly figure role filled in by Johnny. Now Inko and Johnny have become quite close, and they ended up dating. Okay, they ended up dating. Long story short, actually, no. They don't end up dating, but they're pretty close friends, right? And of course, you know, time skip. We end up getting to the day of the Sludge villain incident, when, of course, we have it to which Deku ends up walking into the classroom. Now, he would put his bag onto the desk and he would be like, all right, as he just lays his head back down and proceeds to kind of just chillax. At this point, the teacher would walk inside and talk about how he's going to give out these career aptitude tests, and all of the kids would be like, come on, as he would say, that is, if I didn't know you guys all wouldn't become heroes, as he begins to pretty much tell everybody that he already knows they all want to go to the hero course. Like I said, everybody would cheer, and at this point, Deku would lift his head up as the teacher would begin to announce where everybody wants to go. He would get to a list that says UA, as he would see two names, Izuku Midoriya and Katsuki Bakugo. And immediately he would say, Izuku Midoriya, you want to go to UA? Deku would look at him and say, that's right, teach, and I'm gonna make it into UA. As Bakugo would stand up on his desk and say, you? Loser! Someone like you couldn't hope to get into UA. At this point, yeah, you may be a little strong for a quirkless kid, but in the real world, the world of heroes, you're not gonna live a single day to tell the tale about it. As Deku would look at Bakugo and say, well, aren't you so sure? Why don't you show me, Bakugo? As he smirks, and Bakugo would look at Deku and say, you want to have another fight? At this point, Deku and Bakugo have been fighting for months now, and the teacher would say, settle down, as at this point their record is like 16-17. One of them has won one extra battle, and the one who won the extra one is actually going to be Bakugo. Deku would say, yeah, I'll take you on right now, as Bakugo would smile, and at this point Deku would say, nah, I actually can't, as he would say, Sensei told me not to. So he would sit back down, stay quiet, and the class would eventually end. The bell would ring, and Bakugo would walk over to Deku as he's like, so, talk a pretty big amount for somebody without a quirk. As Deku would stand up in his desk and say, yeah, and you do quite a lot of barking whenever your friends are with you. Have you ever wondered what would happen if those two little goons you have weren't there to back you up at all times? There to hold your hands like your little boyfriends? As Bakugo would be like, what do you mean? And immediately Deku would look at him and say, thought so. He would quite literally proceed to like spit in Bakugo's face, and Bakugo would just be like, damn you, as he would shoot a giant explosion at Deku's direction. Deku would stand there as a lot of his clothes would get charred, and he would look at Bakugo as he would say, that's supposed to hurt. He would look at Bakugo as he rushes at his direction, and they begin to literally have a fist fight in the middle of the classroom. Sorry about that. I'm pretty sure you guys did hear a bark that time, but you know, that doesn't matter. Anyways, they basically proceeded to like look at each other as the teacher would walk into the classroom and be like, hey, break it up or I'll expel you both. At this point, they both just like put everything back to where it was, and Deku ends up being a little late. To which he starts running straight through this canal where he would see the Sludge villain pop up out of nowhere. And Deku would be like, what the hell is that? At this point, Deku would look at the Sludge villain as he would say, damn it. He would look at the Sludge as he would say, well, there's nothing to do but go through it. As Deku would proceed to rush at the Sludge villain and say, get out of my way! He throws a punch, but the Sludge villain just catches Deku in the sludge, and Deku unfortunately gets caught. He was being way too cocky, and his abilities were definitely not going to match the Sludge villain's strength. All Might eventually ends up arriving about 5 seconds after this, and he says, don't fear, because I am here, as he proceeds to punch the Sludge villain away and catch Deku by the arm so he doesn't fly off, and Deku is unfortunately saved. And at this point, Deku, for a brief moment, proceeds to simp for All Might. Like, he proceeds to freak out just like his normal self, but then catches his composure and says, I'm a big fan, All Might. As All Might just looks at Deku and says, ha, always lucky to meet fans. As he proceeds to kind of just tell Deku that, you know, he's pretty happy that he got to meet a fan. And Deku would say, yeah, pretty great stuff. As at this point, he would proceed to ask All Might, do you think I could become a hero without a quirk? Like, straight up just saying it, not twiddling his fingers or anything. All Might would hear this as he's picking up the Sludge villain and say, unfortunately, kid. The answer is, and before All Might could even finish his sentence, Deku would chuckle as he would say, well, I don't give a damn about what you have to say, All Might, because I'm going to prove to you, myself, and the world that quirkless people can become powerful, because that's what my sensei taught me, and I'm going to prove it. I'm going to be the first quirkless hero in the world, I may not be number one, but I promise, All Might, I'll go down in history as one of the strongest. All Might would listen to these words and think, you know what, kid? As Deku would say, well, anyways, All Might, it was nice meeting you. It was also nice to be told no by my idol. True, you, All Might. He would walk off as All Might's just sitting there picking up the pieces of the thing. And at this point, All Might would jump off as he drops the Sludge villain. And at this point, Deku proceeds to walk away. Now, when he does, he hears an explosion and begins to run towards its direction, thinking, sick, a villain attack. Immediately, he would go towards it. And at this point, he would see Katsuki, Bakugo within the Sludge villain. He would give Deku that look that Bakugo does in canon, as Deku seeing this in some sort of drive to protect Bakugo would just like snap inside of Deku, and it's like he saw his childhood best friend in those eyes. He would rush on in there as he takes off his bag and throws like a pencil right at the Sludge villain's eye. As the Sludge villain would be like, damn kid, he would let go of Bakugo for a slight second as Deku would go over to Bakugo and be like, let's go! Grabbing Bakugo's arm. As Bakugo extends it, they grab each other's arm, and Deku would, pretty much just yank Bakugo out of there. So he's like, let's get out of here. And at this point, the Sludge villain would throw a fist, but All Might would catch it and be like, kid, I have some nerve to tell you you can't become a hero, but you're the most heroic one here. As he would throw a Texas smash and the entire weather would change, and everybody would just be like, that kid saved him. As they're all cheering, and they would actually think that Deku did a pretty good thing this time. As instead of this time just getting in the way and almost getting killed, he actually was able to save Bakugo, and where the heroes weren't able to do a thing. And at this point, All Might would end up catching up to Deku as he's on his way home, telling him, you are worthy of becoming a hero. Not only that, Izuku Midoriya, but you are worthy of becoming my successor. Please accept one for all. I bet you guys were probably wondering what happens next. Well, before you guys do hear that, I need to tell you guys a word about today's sponsor, fandom. What's up, guys? It's your boy Zeta here in the flesh to tell you all about fandom, because what video would be complete without me turning into a sellout? Now, today's video obviously sponsored by Fandom, an anime merch company which you guys can go on to buy any, and I mean any, shonen anime design of your choice. We're talking One Piece, we're talking Dragon Ball, My Hero, Demon Slayer, anything you guys want. And if you guys need to see more of their merch, here's this Zoro design. Very, very lit, very, very nicely fit. It fits really dope. And we obviously got the black colorway because I like to rock a bunch of black hoodies myself personally. We even have this Dragon Ball design with an iconic Nike design and a Goku on top of it saying, can't someone else just do it? And obviously the little dope design on that. That being said, if you guys want anything such as that or from a different anime and in a different color, you guys can go onto their website and use code ZETHER at checkout for 10% off. Also, make sure to check out the sizing because you do want to make sure that you have the right fit, because it's not the same one from the US. It's actually the sizing from China. So if you guys do want the dope anime merch, make sure to go down below in the description, cop whatever you like, and please let me know down below in the comment section so I can just thank you guys for buying anything, because it truly does help out the channel and it does help your boy out. So with that being said, make sure you guys go on to Fandom and buy stuff now. Deku's eyes would widen as he looks at All Might's direction and says, do you really think I can become a hero? And All Might would look at Deku as he would say, I know you can become a hero, young Midoriya. As he would proceed to tell him to write his number down and meet him at Dagoma Beach the next day, where they will now begin the 10 months worth of training. Now, for the 10 months, this is actually going to be causing a very, very strange dilemma between All Might and Johnny. Because at the end of the day, this is where All Might is going to finally start training Deku, and Johnny, who also teaches Deku, is going to kind of feel some sort of way. Because as we saw in the Cobra Kai Season 4, we saw that Johnny got pretty jealous whenever Daniel finally started teaching Miguel some things. And that kind of same scenario would happen about the 3-month mark. When Deku starts training less and less with Johnny, eventually Johnny would say, I need to meet whoever you're training with. And Deku would finally reveal that he's been training with All Might all this time. With Johnny saying, the number one hero? Deku saying, yeah, I've been training with him. Johnny would look down thinking, yeah, he's pretty manly. As, he would kind of just look down and Deku would say, nah, don't worry about it. You're always going to be my sensei at heart. And Johnny would kind of smile awkwardly as Deku would say, I tell you what, how about you come in and you train me with All Might? And Johnny would be thinking, sure, why not? As he would go to the beach the next day and he would see the way All Might fights and he would ask him a question. Hey, Why do you never use your legs? All Might would be like, huh? What are you talking about? And Johnny would be like, dude, you only fight with your fists. That's not how you do it. And All Might would be like, what do you mean? As Johnny would begin to explain that he should probably use his legs, with All Might being like, oh, I never thought about that. And at this point, Deku does have one for all. In fact, he even has 10% of it active. He can use 10% full cowling at this point. And Deku at this point has been wondering if he has enough experience to truly become a pro hero someday. Because it's kind of like he knows he's strong, but he at the end of the day doesn't know how strong. Because he has trained with Johnny and he's fought against Bakugo sometimes, but he doesn't know what it's truly like to fight against a real villain. So during the 4-month mark, he actually starts doing a little bit of vigilante activities, where he would sneak off at night with a black hoodie and a full blacked out outfit and kind of just try to fight villains. And on his first day, Deku would have just seen a random mugger, but at this point he's been doing it for about 2 months, and his name of a vigilante would have finally started spreading. The Black Canary. That's what people started calling him. No, he's not going to be the same one from the DC universe, and he doesn't have that ability, but they just call him that because he wears an all black outfit, and why not? But he does do all this vigilante stuff, and one of these days, he ends up hearing a bank explosion. He would rush over towards that direction as he would see a bunch of villains, and one of them in particular would be one by the name of Wolfram, the villain from one of the My Hero Academia movies, which Deku and All Might both had to face in order to beat. The guy who had that machine that basically amplified his metal controlling abilities. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where we will officially be leaving What If Deku flipped the script off. If you guys enjoyed part 1, then please make sure to go down below and smash that like button, seeing as we're going to be needing quite a couple of likes for this video to get a part 2. So if you guys did enjoy the video, go down, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you're alerted when part 2 drops, seeing as I'm probably going to be dropping it pretty soon. And for those of you wondering where Assault Mode Naruto is gone, don't worry, it hasn't gone anywhere. It's still going to be dropping in like give me like a week or so. I promise it'll drop within the week. The finale will probably drop in the form of movie. But with that being said though, guys, I do love each and every single one of you guys. It has been your boy Zether, and I am out. Peace.